for tuning into Relationship Talk today. This is Regal, and if you're tuning in for the first time, I'm your host. My name is Regal Hawk. I'm a relationship and life coach, and I am here today with my dynamic co-host, Savvy Swan, businesswoman and entrepreneur. So, last week we talked about the tired black woman and whether or not she has a legitimate gripe. As a result of last week's show, I got a few emails in, and one of the topics or the suggestions for a topic which stood out was tonight's topic, talking about men and the curiosity. You know, women want to know, why do men suddenly lose interest in the beginning? Now, I did have a few people follow up when I posted for the show to air tonight, and they were curious about which perspective we were talking about. And you know, some women were interested in understanding why men lose interest after they've been dating for a while, or why they may lose interest in a marriage. Those are going to be topics that we do discuss in a subsequent shows, but tonight we're talking about in the beginning. Why do men suddenly lose interest in the beginning? Okay, so we have all experienced it. We've experienced it. Men have experienced it. Women have experienced it. However, I think women have experienced it in much greater degree than men. You know, when you're getting to know a person and you think you like them, you guys seem to hit it off, you're having good phone conversation, you're dating a little bit, and then suddenly, he just suddenly seems to fall off the face of the earth. He's not returning your phone calls. He's not as available as he used to be. Swan, are you there?
I am.
You know, we want to know. Women are curious to know. And, you know, we've all experienced this, whether it's something that we experienced as a young girl, as a teenager, as a young woman. Some women in their 30s or 40s are experiencing it now. And, you know, women are curious to understand, you know, what's happening. You know, why the mixed signals, or are they misreading the signals? What are your thoughts, Swan?
You know, I think sometimes we do misread the signals. We think things are going well, and for whatever reason, the guy just stops calling, and we're just at a loss. So I think we do want to understand. We want to know what's happening when that happens.
Right.
You know, because it all, like you said, it's happened to all of us at one point, or at one time or another. So
yes, absolutely. You know, I think as adults, for us, it would be very nice to know exactly why he suddenly stopped calling or suddenly lost interest. You know, I've always been of the mindset that feedback is the only way I can know to improve in any area of my life. And, you know, while I can imagine that being honest with someone about what may not have worked for them in a relationship could be difficult to express, I think people should be more open to considering the possibility of expressing. And I know, go ahead, what's you going to say, Swan?
I was going to say, but we know that most of the men are probably not going to do that. I mean, they may tell another woman or someone else, you know, but they're not going to tell the person that they actually, you know, stop calling. You know, and it could be uncomfortable.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
it
they
can be
don't communicate as well. Yeah, and they don't want to deal with confrontation or perceived confrontation or conflict. But, you know, hopefully from the guests who call in tonight, we can kind of get some understanding, you know, because there are women out there. We have callers already?
Yeah, we have a caller on the line. Yes,
okay,
we're going to bring them on. We're going to bring them on in. He's calling from area code 810.
Okay, now 810.
810, area code 810. That's Michigan.
Okay, great. We have a caller
on the line.
Okay, I'm here. This is Wayne from Michigan.
Hey, Wayne, I'm Regal. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Okay, and I'm Swan.
Good.
Thanks for calling in.
I mean, I heard you guys' discussion earlier, and, you know, what come to my mind, you know, dating in the past, you're dating someone for a few weeks or months, and then I guess you find out something about the person that you didn't like, and maybe that's why you stop, you know, calling them or lose interest. I think that's probably one of the biggest things. And
can you give us? I'm sorry, Wayne. Can you give us an example of what that might be? Yeah.
I mean, you found out, hey, maybe, she may be a little crazy or something, or you heard something about her past.
Come on, Wayne. I hear men use that one too many times. You have to give us some details, Mr. Wayne.
Okay.
Give us some specifics when you say crazy, because I've heard that. I hear a lot of men say she was crazy, and I've had a couple of men give me some examples recently where I had to chuckle as well, and I thoroughly understand. Give us the details, Wayne. Women need to hear the details.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we might do something and you guys react in a totally different way than what we expected. Maybe something to that effect. Also, when you first start dating someone, I always say when you first start dating someone, either you're crazy about the person or you find this person, okay, I can give them a moment to see if I really like the person or not. It's two things. Either you really like them or you're going to try to figure out if you do like them. Of course, if you don't like them at all, you won't start talking to them anyway. So I think that period of time where you're trying to figure that person out, that's where you're at now. Because if there was some crazy type love going on, you don't care what the guy or the person does to you because you like them and you're crazy about them. But it was just that C period of trying to check them out. You find out some things like, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm cool. And
all
you said specifically.
So for the most part, we all have checklists. And so you're saying in that courting period of getting to know a woman, then there just may be something about her that doesn't align with the checklist?
Yeah.
But do men have checklists, though? And that could be another topic. But do men have checklists, though?
Yeah, there's certain things to be looking for. I mean, for me, I'm just talking for me now. I'm not talking for all the men in the world. You want someone that was on your same level. If I was, I'm a college degreed or a master's degreed person, I'm looking for someone on that level or close to it. Looking for the whole package, the TP, total package as we call it. The body, got the career going on, got the, degrees behind her, you're financially stable. You're looking for all those things, in the church, someone that you see is going to be a good, you want to have kids, someone that's going to be a good mother for your kids. I mean, all those things kind of line up with that. And, yeah, we want everything, like you guys want everything too, You want the guy that, has got it going on, Mr. Right, or whatever you want to call it, the TP, the body, got the career.
Wayne, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still
Juan,
here.
Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay, I'm not sure where that feedback was coming from. All right, so Wayne, what are some of the reasons when in the past you had met a woman, and again, you particularly, you met a woman and you were getting to know her, you liked her, you could tell that she liked you as well. What were some of your reasons for just losing interest?
I think, we started talking about our careers and where we were headed. And, initially she told me she wanted to do something else. Then I think she maybe told me that just to get my interest peaked. And you find out later that, hey, no, you really don't want to do anything. You just want Mr. Right to come along to sweep you off your feet and, you guys run off in the sunset together. As men, we want something brought to the table as well. I mean, I know you guys too.
I hear that from a lot of brothers nowadays that, Swan and I talk about this often. We're wondering what type of women these men are running into. But I do hear that from a lot of brothers that they're running into women who just want them to, to take care of them without bringing anything to the relationship as well. Wayne, I want to go ahead and cut to the chase because I asked a couple of my male friends about this topic that we were discussing today. And a couple of them were bold enough to share with me, at least in our personal conversation, that one of the reasons that they have lost interest was, from a male's mind, like similar to what you just said, but from a male's mind, if he's investing, then he's looking for that return on his investment. And, different people look at that in different ways, but I have heard that the issue of sex have come up where, men have lost interest.
We should know that was going to be on the list. That has to be one of the top 3 reasons. Let's just go ahead and cut to the chase.
Because I was a little offended that a good friend shared that. And I mean, not that, he's not a man and he wasn't entitled to feel that way, but I was a bit taken aback. Like, really? Like, really? Like, I thought that was like the most terrible thing, but he explained it, from the male perspective and how important sex is to them. And, even in getting to know a woman where it may be important for her to get to know him better as an individual before integrating sex into the relationship. For him as a man, sex is top priority on his list in many instances. And so if she doesn't seem that she's interested in culminating that sexual relationship early on, that might be a reason that he loses interest. What are your thoughts?
Oh, boy.
And again, Wayne, not to put you on the spot, but, again, just to help bring some clarity, because, it's kind of frustrating for women to meet a man that she likes, she thinks that he likes her as well, and then all of a sudden things just cool off. And it's frustrating because she doesn't understand why. And whether, it be because she wasn't having sex with him soon enough, or because she had sex too soon, or because he was intimidated, or she didn't align with the checklist, we're hoping to help women get a wide array of understanding of the different reasons. And from there, it's just better to know what you're up against. So not to put you on the spot, but hoping you can share some insight.
And, yeah, I think, for us, when I say us as men, we do, we're investing into a relationship with a person. You're talking to them for 2 or 3 weeks or a month or so. I'm whining and dining you. I'm taking you out. Yeah, I'm old school. I'm from the South. We always were taught, you took the woman out, you always paid for dinner, you did everything. And, as a guy, after a couple of months of that, it's like, okay, I've done all the things that I need to do, and no, you haven't, you gave it up yet, in a sense. And I think, that's what we look for. And like I said, I'm not talking for all the men in the world, but I may get shot. A lot of males may call in and tell me to shut up, but, after a while of doing all that, you are expecting something. Now, a lot of guys won't admit that, but you doing all this whining and dining. You're not doing all the whining and dining just to be doing it. I mean, you expecting something to come along the way, And then when that doesn't happen, like, man, I just spent all this money in the last 2 months taking her out, doing all this stuff, buying gifts, flowers and stuff, and she hadn't even said anything about, we're going to get together or whatever. And and that's us. And that's us. Now, I think, as a man getting into a relationship, I think we need to talk about, we don't like to talk about sex unless we're going to get some. We should talk about it.
You're not saying right away, though, Wayne, right?
No, not right away. But after you start dating.
Well, Swan, I'm sure right away would be even better now.
I don't know, because I don't think that should be brought up right away, though. But early on in the relationship, definitely, though.
Yeah.
But what's interesting, Swan? I think, like, I had the discussion with my buddy, and one of the reasons our conversation became so tense for me is because he suggested that it be a conversation that they have in the beginning. And I thought, no way. Hands down, you are out of your mind.
Not on the first date.
Definitely not on the first date, but Swan, he suggested early on, and I promise you I was very tense at the thought, and I said, well, here's the problem. I said, for women, especially if she's somewhat of an attractive woman, sometimes men mistake a woman being nice. And so if you smile at him, if you compliment him, he thinks you may want him, And if you open up that door for conversation, and Wayne, stick with me on this, you open up as a woman, if you open up that door for conversation on this topic, he may misperceive that you're hot and ready when you're not hot and ready. And so in sharing that with my buddy, we came up with, what he thought was an idea for, being able to have the conversation, but prefacing it, because, one, it would be one that was very uncomfortable for me to have too early on as well, because I don't want to give him the wrong impression. I don't want him to think I'm hot and ready.
Yeah, and me too, because I don't want to get that impression off right away, no.
So, Wayne, go ahead. Men don't want to talk about sex unless they're having it, but what are you suggesting? Because if a man is whining and dining and ultimately sex is his goal, how do you bridge the gap of misunderstanding between the men and women?
I think that discussion don't have to happen. I mean, come on now. You know, if you're taking out someone and you're going out with them for weeks at a time, there's going to be a discussion about sex sooner or later. Come on. You know, I mean, you guys setting up, you know, at the table, eating dinner, or after dinner, you know, you're taking a coffee or a drink or whatever, it's going to come up, you know. But I think what we mess up at is, you know, sometimes women tell us, hey, you know, I'm really trying to wait and, you know, until I find the right person, so I know it's right, he's right, or whatever. And a lot of guys, you know, two things when we hear that, you know, I'm really waiting. Okay, we're going to try to be, okay, I'm going to get this. She's saying that right now, but I'm going to do everything I can to get it. Or that's that moment when we say, you know what, she's not going to give it up. It's time for me to kind of step back. And that's when them phone calls stop coming. That's when we kind of lose interest, as you guys just talking about. So we just realize, hey, this nut is not going to be broken right now. You know, I'm not going to put all this work in. I'm not getting nothing in return. And we just talked about it. And it's going to be another 2 or 3 months before I even get closer, maybe even getting it.
Closer.
So I'm not going to continue to put all this work in and not going to get nothing in return. I mean, I think that's the bottom line. You know, you're putting all this work in and you're waiting to get something. You know, you're waiting to get something. Now, that discussion of having, again, I think that's when you know if the guy really wants to be with you or not. After you have that discussion, you say, I really want to wait on before I do this.
You know what you're dealing with, right? So from a man's perspective, you know, if his, you know, because, you know, and Swan, you know, make sure you share what your thought is about this. But, you know, from what I've learned about men over the years, you know, men are either, you know, still soaring their wallows and, you know, need that sexual connection with women, you know, or they may possibly be at a place where they're ready to settle down. And there is a difference between the two types of men, you know. And so if a man is at a place in his life where he is looking or ready or willing to settle down, then he may be looking at some other facets and getting to know this woman besides sex. And so, you know, I think that we as women, we may have to become more open-minded to the possibility of having that discussion up front, or at least bringing it up to know where we stand. Now, granted, I've been celibate for a long time, and I love my celibacy, and I'm so upfront with men when I do meet them. And over the years, it has helped me tremendously with weeding off those that are only here for one reason. And I don't have a problem with that. I think it's important for us to have an understanding of what our goals are. And so,
and go ahead. Go ahead.
No, your turn.
We actually have another caller. We actually have another caller online, and I was thinking that we should go ahead and bring this caller in as well.
Bring him in,
and Wayne, you stay on the line, okay? This is area code 704. 704, okay?
All right.
Hey, thanks for joining us on Relationship Talk today. Hello.
Hello.
Caller?
Yeah. Hello.
Hey, thanks for calling. Thanks for joining in with us today. Your name, sir?
Oh, hello. Good evening.
Yeah. Can you hear us? Good evening.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. I can.
Can you hear me?
Can everyone else hear?
Yeah, we can hear.
Well, I just want to listen. I just want to listen to the brother because I think the brother's nailing it. I think he's on point.
Oh. Okay. Well, we definitely want to hear your input as well. So go ahead.
I mean, I'm just going to end up probably being redundant by saying what he said, and I could just listen. So, I mean,
no, we want to hear your opinion too now.
We can talk in stereo.
It's nice to hear a different variety.
Well, again, just to put it out front, that if it's going, sex is going to be important in a relationship, unless both parties, if both parties are celibate, then maybe it's not. But at least you guys still had a conversation, as opposed to one thinking that it's going to be something that's going to culminate in some intimacy, and I mean intimacy in terms of sexual intercourse. I'm not going to dodge around.
So how soon are you saying this conversation should be had then?
Well, and again, that's going to depend on the individual, but I would think the sooner the better. So, like, as the host said, that she lets people know up front where she stands. And that's good.
Do you
because the rules of engagement are there.
Live on your computer? Are you listening to the show live on your computer?
No, I'm on my Radio Shack cell phone.
Okay. We were hearing a little bit of feedback from you. Wasn't trying to figure out where that was coming from. But, okay. So you think the sooner the better.
Correct. And who's decide what sooner is? But like the brother was saying, I mean, if you made this type of investment, quote unquote, whatever it is, be it time, money, emotion, and maybe emotion hadn't gotten into it, but you like the person, and you're not getting anything in return. There's no reciprocity. At some point, the gentleman is going to have to decide whether or not to keep down that path or go elsewhere where there's some reciprocity. From my perspective, it's a no-brainer.
You know, what's interesting about what you brothers are sharing is it brings to mind the need for a discussion with another topic from a woman's perspective, and it surrounds discernment. You know, because you have different kind of men out there. You know, you have men who are, you know, good men with good intentions, and, you know, men are sexual beings. And, you know, so this could be a man that is looking for an intimate relationship with a woman, and sex is important to him. And then you have the other type of men who are only looking for sex and not anything to come along with a relationship. And so as I'm listening to you, as much as I can value the truth that you're bringing to the discussion, I realize that it's going to be important for women to understand, to read the differences between those two types of men because, you know, so, you know, Wayne, you being a good man, you know, when you were, you know, dating and looking to get to know a woman, you as a man, and you too, caller, from 704. And what's your name, by the way?
Kuji Jagalia.
All right, Kuji. You know, if you guys are dating to get to know women and have a relationship, but sex was important in that relationship as well, it's important for women to be able to read that about a man, you know, whether he's there just for the sex, because there have been times when women have experienced this. I've experienced it when I was a younger woman where, well, I think I've always been labeled as being a little prudish or slower to get to home base, but, you know, women have experienced that if you give up sex too soon, then he loses interest and he stops calling.
May I respond?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please do.
One is that you're saying that it's like as if there are two type of men, A or B. I think that that's unfair because there are a myriad of men that probably fall somewhere in between that when it comes to what we're talking about, number one. And then number two is I think there's an assumption, and I could be wrong in my assuming that there's an assumption, but I think there's an assumption that once that threshold is crossed, the intimacy, the sexual intercourse threshold is crossed, that the guy may build. It just may very well be that as a result of that, they become closer. They may say, look, let me go ahead and lock this down. I love this. Let me go ahead and get married. Who knows? So, you don't know, but to kind of hold that, you may let the good guy get away because the good guy is ready to settle down. That's my comment.
Yeah,
but
my thought is,
Kuji, if you're ready to settle down, then there are other facets that come into play in getting to know a woman besides just sex. And is the pussy good? You know, because it takes more to make a relationship work than just good sex. And so while good sex is important, there are other facets. And so I don't know that, you know, not giving it up soon enough would make a woman possibly lose a good man. I disagree with that wholeheartedly.
Well, my thought pattern is most guys are just looking for sex. They're not going to put the time and effort in of whining and dining you. I mean, I think if you're just looking for sex, you know right away that, hey, I'm not going to get nothing here because she already told me kind of what in our discussion of filling you out and all that of if you're going to be fast
you say most guys are just looking for sex?
No. I'm saying if most guys are looking for sex, they're not going to do all the whining and dining. I'm not going to whine and dine for months and not knowing that I'm not going to get nothing. I mean, guys are like that. They're really quick. I mean, if I meet you and go out with you one time, and I got a feeling during our conversation that, hey, you're not gonna be giving this up no time soon, you ain't gonna be hearing from me again. If I'm just looking for sex now.
If you're that type guy.
If I'm that type of guy.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
You know
and
what
the thing is, so women need to determine what type of guy she's dealing with then.
I want to throw something else out there, though, for a quick discussion. This conversation went way too quick. We didn't have near enough time, but, you know, throughout my life, I've run into a myriad of men where, you know, men are driven by the conquest. Okay, I think we can all agree with that, whether you're, you know, Christian or not, you know, spiritual, religious beliefs or not. You know, God made men and told them go out and take dominion. There's something about men that are driven by, you know, the conquest. You know, that's part of his makeup. And so throughout my life, I have experienced a myriad of men who have been willing to invest almost by any means necessary to the point of hopefully being able to culminate a sexual relationship with me. And I'm talking about months and even years of investing in an attempt to. And so, you know, even, you know, if part of the male makeup is his, you know, his need to conquer, you know, put another notch in his belt, add to the black book, however we want to label that need to conquer, what about those men who won't so expediently say, well, if you're not giving it up, then I'm just going to leave. Like, you know, Wayne said with him when he was, you know, dating when he was younger, it was easy and quick. You know, if you're not giving me what I need, then I'm bouncing. You know, what about men who are willing to put in that time and effort in an attempt to conquer, but he's not looking for more of a relationship? You know, how is a woman to, you know, understand those tactics that some men will use because of that need or desire to conquer?
Well, like I said, you know, a couple guys probably going to come and hunt me down, but I'm going to reveal a little something. He might be doing all that with you, but I bet you there's something else going on somewhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, Wayne. Always, yes.
Okay.
yes. And, you know, in my ability to be patient and to observe and to just allow the truth to come to fruition, that's what I've always noticed as time has progressed, and I've gotten to know them as friends, and then the truth really comes out. You hit it spot on. And so, you know, that brings, I guess, you know, another level of challenge for women to, you know, maybe plunder through and understanding. But, yep, you're dead spot on, Wayne. Something else going on somewhere else.
So we spent a lot of time on talking.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I just, you know, relationships are so difficult. I mean, really are. I mean, you meet somebody, you taking their word for granted about who they are, what their values are, what they stand for. Yeah, you go out to them for a while. Then, you know, sometimes you find out stuff about them like, what in the world? That's nothing what they said that I was, you know, that they were like. You know, so we're taking a risk when we start dating someone. And, you know, my sisters and I always discuss this. We're taking a risk when you start dating someone, right? Because you don't know anything about them. You meet them, you see them. And I guess, again, it's like I'm always playing dice. You know, hopefully you'll find someone that's going to be upfront with you, going to be truthful with you. Like I always told my sisters, you know, during my dating period, and again, this could be another one of those ploys that women might want to know. Sometimes guys don't even talk about sex. Hey, I'm not even going to talk about it. And a lot of women respect that in a sense. That, hey, he didn't bring that up. He's whining and dining me. He didn't bring sex up at all. But you know what? I'm going to give him some anyway. Because he didn't even bring it up. He didn't even force it on. Yeah, I'm going to give him some because this guy is pretty good. He's good. Again, some guy may come up here and take away my mail card from me because I'm telling all these secrets. But he might just come right at you and not even say anything about sex. And he's whining and dining. Baby, you didn't say nothing about sex. You know, you tell him, hey, you ain't discussing sex with me. You know what, baby, it's not important right now. What's important is get to know you first, make sure we are right for each other. You say all the right things that you want to hear. And then you then you say, you know what, I'm going to give him some because he's been so good. He hasn't even said anything about it.
Wayne, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your honesty. You know, growing up in Brooklyn, New York, I was fortunate to have a lot of male friends who, you know, kind of kept me in the loop on, the male perspective. And one of my buddies used to say, don't give up the box, and he would tell me what his tactic was. And his tactic was being patient. And he never pressed the issue of sex. And, he was always able to get what he wanted because he never pressed it. And so,
right.
I appreciate your honesty in sharing that. We have just about 2 minutes before the end of this show. I just want to recap a couple of things because we had some great discussion. I don't think 30 minutes was enough time for the show, but, for women who are wondering what some of the reasons are that men may lose interest in the beginning when you're first getting to know him. Again, we talked a lot about sex tonight, but it is more than just sex. One of the things that, I don't think that we brought up, which I think does come into play at times, at least based on some of the men that I've talked to, which was interesting to me that, these men would share this is, there have been times when, a man knowing that he's not in the place in his life where he's really ready to settle down, where he may meet a woman who he knows is that right package. He knows she's married material, and he knows that she's a woman who would not put up with his dilly-dallying shortcomings or games. And so there have been times, believe it or not, when men have kind of cooled off or seeming to have, quote-unquote, lost interest because he was slightly intimidated and just knowing that he wasn't in a place where he was ready to commit to this woman the way he needed to commit to her. Again, not getting sex soon enough, as we've heard from tonight's discussion, is another reason that men may have lost interest in the beginning. Sex too soon. I think that's a major issue for women. Giving up the sex before you get to know him, giving up sex because it's what he wants, and you thinking that might hook him and keep him, and oftentimes that backfires. And so, to women who may find themselves falling into this category, I would say make sure that you get to know him and that you understand what your reasons are for having sex with him. If you're genuinely hot and ready, then be hot and ready. But if you're doing it because you hope that it's going to hook him, but you're really hoping for a man to maintain a relationship and commit to you, then you need to rethink your strategy. And another point that Wayne mentioned when we first began the discussion is there could be things that a man and a woman learn about each other as time progresses that just don't align with their, checklist, that just kind of don't match up to what he's looking for or where he is. So I think we had some good pointers here. I appreciate the callers for calling in. Thanks for taking the time out of your schedule. Thank you, listeners, for listening in to Relationship Talk today. I'm Regal. Have my second co-host, Swan. And we will talk to you next Sunday at 6 p.m. Have a good night.
Thank you.